Check, looks okay. Back at the back in the saddle. Back at the slave desk. Where are we? Thursday. Nobody here. Good morning, Dave. Somebody's here. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Back in the saddle. I had 4 days. 4 days down there. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. No, Saturday afternoon, right through to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon. 4 days. Unheard of. Unheard of. It's the longest time I've spent at home in whatever, 6 years, 7 years. Okay, we're going to pick up exactly where we left off. Exactly. We had just finished, I believe, coloring in for this one. We're going to paste it down and get going. How was it? Oh, you mean? Of course, I did nothing. In fact, even for one of the days, the last day there, was it Wednesday? I just turned off my computer, and it was interesting. For the whole day, almost the whole day, I didn't look at this stupid machine, and it was really, really interesting. Really interesting. I have this feeling myself that I am stupidly proud I don't have a smartphone. I'm not like all you guys who follow that thing all day long, looking at it every 5 minutes. You know, I'm not one of those mindless zombies. Instead, Dave does it with his laptop usually. He opens his laptop 500 times a day, you know, so I'm an inconvenient zombie. So. Might actually be best this way up. How do you line these up with the registration marks? We're going to cut, this corner is printed in the previous registration marks. So the corners on the paper here are accurate to the registration marks on the key block. And I am now going to cut fresh new registration marks on this block. This will slide into them, and that gives us our registration. It's another real stinker here this morning. It's hot. My shirt is already soaked. I should, I guess, put the air conditioner on, but I still have trouble. You know, when there's only one person here in the room. When it's a shop and there's people around, of course we put the air conditioner on. But when it's just me, I still have trouble feeling that it's okay to do that. I don't feel it's okay to do that, you know. Oshibori man, what's his time? He's been earlier, later. Stay hydrated. I'm okay. I'm doing that part of it well. I'm following the instructions on that. Got my water all day long. Oh, I forgot the outside camera. Look at that. Did anybody complain? Did anybody mention or nobody? You didn't even notice. Nobody even noticed. My God, so we don't need this anymore. But that's awfully noisy. It's turned off. The outside audio is going off. that the stream the other day from Ome, the show, Monday morning, when I was going to plug my mic, I've got my pin mic, and at the moment it's plugged into the desk camera here. It's plugged into the camera over the desk, which has an audio input. And I discovered on Monday the outside camera doesn't have a plug for audio, so we got screwed on that. But whatever. Just now, there's notes from Jed here. Skype's good. Just a sec. I got to quickly respond to Jed. Hang on a sec. Apologies, excuse me. Yeah, the flask is green again. When did I change it? Do you remember? Was it New Year's? Was it the official changing time? I don't remember, because that's the official pattern, change it January 1st. But I don't remember what we did in real life. It's time, it's going green. It's life, you know, like somebody said, it's life. It's okay. I'm sure I haven't touched this since January. In my old days, when I was working in Hamra, trying to follow the rules about the old craftsman, I changed it in January at the shrine. I went to the shrine, dumped out the old water, rinsed it with gravel, cleaned it, put the fresh cold water in, you know, dipped from the shrine. I didn't pray or anything. I'm not into that part of it, but I tried to follow the traditional, go through the motions. I never had trouble going green back then, you know. These days here in town, maybe the water, I get the water from the dipper in front of Sensoji Temple, but I guess rather than the clean river water that I had out in the countryside, this is city water, and maybe it's just, I don't know, whatever. What's the Gampi? This is the thin stuff, right? This is 3, so don't get your peel cards. There's no peel happening here, I think. This is the super thin stuff again. I got to use up my patch of it here, you know. I cherry picked for such a long time. I used up my 5, because it was so much fun peeling on the stream. But now I've got a batch of 3 left over, so. I should just sell it to somebody else and go back to using 5. Yeah, there's a cooldown on the command. I know. I forget what it is. It's the 1 minute or something. I don't remember what the number is. He said it. I know. We found at the very beginning when we first had these commands that 6 people would type it and the whole long stream of stuff would come in 6 times. So he put a timeout on it, I guess. It's cooldown, is it a timeout? What would you call that? It's common sense. That's not a peel. That's the prep to the peel, sir. That's not a peel. The peel, if there was going to be one, is what happens next. We can can try it, but I don't think we're going to get enough. We just can't do it. There's not enough body in the 3 here to pull off that big one-piece peel. There's not enough body in it. Look, you can see here. It'll peel off bits and pieces. Look, it's coming up. This is the 3. But it doesn't have enough for you to... there's not enough body in the 3 to pick up and pull back. We can roll it back. But look, it's fragmenting here as we go. So here we go. We'll get rid of it this way. Can we do that? Look, look, look. If I start to peel it by hand, if I start to peel it in one piece, maybe we can do it. I don't know. You see, look, it just fragments. Maybe we should ask him to make us a 4. This is the 3 momme, the thickness of Gumby. And the 5 comes up in that giant peel. This is the 3. We can almost get it, you know. There we are. Look, look, we can almost get a 3. There we are. Look, 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 look. Gee, I shouldn't have been too negative about this. But my God, it's just completely nothing left. It's completely transparent. So I guess it's possible. Should we do that? Should we challenge on the 3s from now on, try and get a peel? If you use a 3, you get a 3 out of 10. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, there should be a handicap. That's right. The judging system should be different. When you've got a 5 momme Gumby, because it's, quote, easy, peel off the front and sap, it looks so impressive. But there should be a handicap for when you're starting with a 3. There we go. It's what you're willing to do in public when people are watching. You know, there's some great stories. There's another carver. He's passed away now. I can tell the story without his name, I guess, because, you know, whatever. I'm the kind of guy that whatever, it's... You can watch anything. I don't care. I'm not trying to hide anything. I could have done that peel off camera and brought it in ready. Okay, stream this morning. The peel's already finished. Away we go. I'm not going to do that. It's much more fun to let you see the real story, the good parts and the parts that are a bit more difficult and whatever. And when I break the knife and whatever, it's more fun to do it that way, and it's more whatever. It's just the whole point of this is to let you see the real thing. But that other carver I mentioned, you know, he was traditional Japanese, and maybe his character was different from mine, and whatever, long story short, NHK did a program on his work and did a program on mine. And he's using a lens, absolutely, behind the scenes he uses a lens, but he didn't want to show using a lens when the TV camera's with it. And I don't care, the TV camera's going to watch me using the scope and stuff, I don't care, it's who I am. But I've got the program, you know, and my God. They were there, he was trying to carve the hair. They had wanted to see the delicate hair carving on this Sharak actor. And he was struggling with it. He's exactly my age, or he was before he died. He was exactly my age. And in the same thing as me, if I had been trying to do it without the lens or microscope, I'd have been struggling and like, don't get the camera so close, it's a bit bothersome, whatever. And what he did was, partway through, he said, look, just the light's not good today. Let's pick this up again tomorrow. I know I'm just not feeling that I can do this properly today. The light's really not good. Let's pick it up tomorrow. So the camera guy said, okay, I'm sorry about this. Let's come back tomorrow. And when they came back tomorrow, this was in the program, they showed they came back tomorrow, it was finished. The hair was all carved and it was all finished. And he said, guys, the mood struck me during the evening and I just got back to it. They said, the light, he said, blah, 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 blah. So clearly, when they were gone, he pulled his lens out and carved it with his lens and stuff, you know. And I saw this and I threw my shoe at that video screen, you know, just give me a break, guy, give me a break, you know. If you're going to show the good parts and then take the praise and everything else, you've also got to show the other side. Otherwise, it's just whatever. Anyway, he's gone now, that guy, so whatever. Okay, let's try this. I know I'm not using a microscope. I'll try using it just with my little lens, but if I wander, I'll get out of your view. So let me know. Type in big caps or something if I let you know. The circle you're seeing, the light circle, is because there's a light just above my head here, shining straight down onto the bench. And the lens I'm using right here today, it's this kind of a lens. And of course the light is shining right through it down. And when I get my head in the way, of course, it's going to block that, but that's what the circle is. So. There's questions about the transfer sheets. Karen is trying to answer that. Can we help you, Karen-san? Here is the key block. The key block is carved lines. For the transfer sheets, I rubbed pigment on the carved lines and printed the transfer sheets. So the transfer sheet you just saw me pasting down was printed from the key block. It wasn't a Xerox copy. To create the first one, I used a traced copy of the original print, then printed it on my laser and pasted that down. So that's the confusion. The key lines were traced and laser printed and then pasted down and carved. But from that point on, there's no more laser printing. It's print these, transfer, print these, transfer, print these, transfer. So the lines you see under my finger right here, that face, the eyes and hair, those are transferred, printed from the carved key block. Okay, let's do something here. Let's do some work. It's very, very quiet here in Asakusa, the shop here, and almost everybody else is working either at home or whatever. Today, Rei-chan will be coming in here. She will be coming in with Chon-san because we're going to have another meeting and another discussion about next year's series. We've got it pretty much up and planned and all sorted out, but there are a few small details about next year's series. We're still discussing things like, should the design have a black border around it, or should it be just a bleed to the edge or whatever, and there's lots of small details. We've got the concept worked out. For show and tell today we have, it'll be one or another of two things. There's something I picked up the other day on an auction that I would love to show you. And I wasn't here yesterday, so the delivery man kept it and didn't bring it. And if he brings it this morning before show and tell time, then we will look at that object. It's a super, super beautiful little, not little at all, print. But he may not be here in time this morning, so if he doesn't, I will show something that I brought back with me from Ome last night. And it's a set of, about 20 prints, but it's actually just one print. Am I managing to stay in the target zone here? Dave goes crazy on eBay. I don't buy anything on eBay. I have nothing to do with eBay at all. eBay, well, it doesn't run here in Japan. And what I see of eBay on the times when people have pointed me to a link or something on there, I don't see an awful lot of bargains there, but whatever. The things I was mentioning here, I picked up on. This particular one is from Yahoo Auctions here in Japan. But a lot of the stuff we get here is from the Koshokai Auctions, the Used Book Dealers Association. And that's not open to the public. You have to have an in for those. We're buying wholesale. So we get stuff from there as well. But the one I mentioned that I got the other day, this was from a normal public Yahoo auction. Although to overseas people, Americans and stuff, they hear me talk about Yahoo auctions and they're just shaking their head like, what are you talking about? And Yahoo is like a 7-Eleven. Here in Japan, it's a different thing from what it is in your country. So. Excuse me here. You're drinking too, I hope, right? Is Yahoo Auctions accessible to foreigners? I don't know directly, but yes, I hear that it is. There are some intermediate websites that will handle the translation and transactions and bidding. I've never used such a thing, but I've been outbid sometimes on Yahoo Auctions by people living overseas. So there is definitely a way to do it, even if you don't know how to read Japanese. But I'm not the guy to advise you. I don't know how that works. I'm sorry. With the truck on, can I put the sound back up for outside? Is it okay? Low level here. Ambient sound is now back up outside. Look at the beer cans there. The beer kegs. This is from the oyster restaurant next door. 2 kegs. They're either full or they're empty. They're either the empty ones that he put out last night and the beer truck will come soon and take them and change them, or they change during the night and these are the full ones which he will take indoors. I don't know which it is. To a kickstand, yeah, right. Should I tap them to see if they're full or empty? Ding, ding. My guess is they're empty, but I don't know. Replies. I see replies happening here. This is interesting. Is that a new feature on the Twitch chat here? Does that help make reading easier and threading easier? I'm not quite sure. I haven't looked at this myself, but I see replying happening now. I'm not even quite sure how you actually do that. Those replies, are they visible to everybody, or is it I can see it because I'm a moderator? So are the replies private between 2 people in the chat, or is it open to everybody? Here's our mistake part. So we're still, I'm still in, what's the word? I'm still in play it both ways mode here. This is where the key line got chopped away a little bit where it shouldn't have been. And we're still undecided about whether to cut that off completely to simplify it, or whether to fix it, or whether just to leave it as it is. So at the moment, when I did the background block, I carved the background block to include that zone to give me the flexibility to cut it away. And for the taski, these threads around his kimono, we're including it here. So I'm still just punting. I'll figure it out later. And it's quite possible we'll do nothing with it. It might look just okay. It's hot. Oh, I'm glad I'm not printing today. This is when it gets unbearable. When you're printing in weather like this, absolutely unbearable. The room upstairs, when the girls are here, of course they put the air conditioner on. There's no question about it. Of course they put it on. Unbearable to print like this. I have a picture on the bookshelf at home. Actually, I saw it just the other day. I was browsing through the bookshelves in Ome. I have a photograph of a printing workshop taken in the summer in August or September of 1951. The reason I have this photograph is because one day I was in a bookstore browsing, and it had a set of books of stories and photographs taken from the popular magazines of each year. And it started like 46, 47, 48, 49. And they were selling them one by one by one. So I bought the one from my birth year, 1951. I bought it in 50. These were the popular stories. There was a train wreck in Sakuragi-cho. There was this theater, there was this, and I'm flipping through this. And there's a story in there that had been in one of the popular magazines of the day in the summer of 1951 about this young American foreigner who was here studying ukiyo-e. And it turned out to be Richard Lane. Now he's gone now. He passed away some years ago. He came as a young 20 years old, whatever, to study ukiyo-e. Not in terms of making it. He didn't study carving and printing. He was studying the history and the culture and what was inside the pictures and all that. So he was an academic approach to the ukiyo-e. And he became a more world-famous, world-class researcher on the topic over the course of his life. But that summer, when he was new here, this would have been his first or second year here, there was a popular magazine latched onto the guy and wrote a story about him. And they showed him at his desk in his study room with a fan, wearing a yukata, studying his Japanese kanji dictionary. And they showed him walking down the street with his fan and his yukata, buying vegetables or whatever at the local market. And then it showed him visiting a printer's workshop. And it's a hilarious picture. He must have gone along with this, whatever. He doesn't care, whatever. Sure, take pictures. Let's help with the publicity, whatever. But he's there in this printer's workshop. And we can see Richard sitting there cross-legged, and he's got a Baron in his hand. And he didn't pretend to be a printer. This was not some pretentious thing on his. He was just like, they said, sit down and pretend you're printing, and he did so, and it's all laugh, laugh, laugh. So he's holding the Baron something like this. And he's rubbing it on the back of the paper, something like this. And he's got a stack in front of him, and maybe there's 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 sheets of paper on the stack in front of him. And this is a workshop that's making just like food wrappers or something. They're just blowing through this stuff. And he's sitting there, and the sheet of dry paper is on his block, and he's pretending to rub for the benefit of the camera. And the camera field is wide enough. We can see the back of the printer in front of him. There must have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, whatever, all in a row. And we can see the rear view of the guy in front of him. And he is naked, except for a fundoshi, that little white band just to tie your nuts up and hold it. And it's hot summertime. And this guy is tattooed top to bottom. And on his back, there's this giant carp climbing a waterfall. This is a printer's workshop in 1951. And the guy is he's got his face turned a little bit. And he's grinning from ear to ear. Look at what we're doing here. We're playing to be a printer, are we, guy? It's just... And when I saw that picture, I just could not stop laughing. It is so much fun. I'll tell you a story now, but the picture is back in Ome. I can't show it to you. Tell you what, next week or the week after, when we're in Ome doing another stream, Remind me about this, and I'll run upstairs and get the picture, and we can have a look at this. And again, I'm not telling you a bad story about Richard. He was a serious, very, very well-known, super serious researcher. But this day, at that time, they must have said, "Hey, sit down, like show me, like you're printing or whatever." And everybody must have just been giggling. But and that guy, the tattoos. Oh my God, whatever. Well, let's do it. We'll see it later. No, he wasn't Yakuza. I don't know. There's some dude who was working in 19. This was a craftsman, a workman, just a rough, I don't know, guys in any, what would you call it, a rough trade? I don't know, rickshaw cart pullers or woodblock printers or just general sort of low-level, not highly educated, do some rough work and get it done and take your beer home at the end of the day. They would have been no problem with tattoos. So tattoo doesn't equal gangster, at least not in that part of the culture. You know. He's just a workman. I don't know, how would America these days? Typical truck driver, let me see your back. He's, whatever, he's got a bunch of tattoos, These days it's different. The men I know as printers in the association, I haven't seen him in the public bath. I don't usually go to the travel meeting they have every October. But I doubt very much that any of them are tattooed nowadays. This is different now. This is post-war, And bit by bit, society has tried to put the message out, we are going to clean up and be modern, and tattoos equal gangsters and stuff like that. It's in flux, but I know one truck driver, Ushiro-san. He's a really, really close family friend of ours, and there's no way he would have a tattoo. So the thing I've just described to you is that guy who was a printer. This is 1951, so he's from the pre-war era. And Japan, again, is really mixed up again now with the tattoos because of the clear and obvious fact to every Japanese person that many, many foreigners now of normal, non-gangster type character are covered with tattoos. So Japan is it's a bit sort of become confused about what to do with these things, That episode last year, was it last year or 2 years ago, when the Rugby World Cup was on, and you were inviting the New Zealand rugby team to come. And they have one or two tattoos here and there, and you're inviting them to your global tournament. Come into Japan and enjoy our hospitality and eat sushi and do this and go to the public bath, and oops. But that's a great picture. You remind me next time I'm in Ome. We'll have a look at it. The grin on the guy's face, So. Yeah, my beer stash, right. That's more beer than I have drunk in my life and would ever drink in my life. That's my total lifetime beer stash right there. Not quite true, but close enough. For me, one of those normal cans of beer, that's enough for me. That's all I can drink at one time. So. Well, maybe John Becker might argue that point, actually. John's been here a number of times, and we've been out a couple of times to, where did we go one evening, John-san? We went to the new Asahi, the place with that giant big red lantern inside. They gave us a table upstairs. We probably had a beer, and then an hour later we had another one, I think, or something, maybe. So yeah, John Becker's testament to that. He's seen me drink more than one beer in a given day. 2 beers. If my brother, for my brother, he'll get like a 6-pack, and that's his warm-up before dinner. You know, like, give me a break. I can't do that. You know? My brother lives in Deutschland. So he's I think it's a question of body weight, I guess, whatever. I'm 63 kilograms, and with that small amount of meat on me, I think I just can't absorb too much alcohol in a certain time period, you know. So. The Bulls have had quite the diaspora, yes, but at the moment not so much, you know. I know, I'm not sure if my mother is here watching this morning, but most of the Bull family at the moment, the part that I know about, is all in one city. My mother lives in Vancouver, Canada. My sister is there. I spoke to the two of them yesterday by Skype. Both of my daughters are in Vancouver, Canada, and 3.5 of my grandchildren are in Vancouver, Canada. So I'm in Japan, and my brother is in Germany, hoping to get to Thailand soon if he can. So it's not so much of a diaspora. Half a grandchild. It's a joke. I know one of my daughters is pregnant, so she's due in October. So she's cooking one. There's a, what's the expression? She's got a bun in the oven. I just sent a box of kids' books yesterday. By sea post. It's interesting to see how many years or months it takes to get there. Your father, Thailand, grandparents in Germany, you in the UK. So you're much more of a diaspora than me, absolutely. So we used to be spread around much more, but not so much. Am I a citizen? No. I'm a British citizen, a British subject, whatever they're called, and I'm a naturalized Canadian citizen. I'm here in Japan as a permanent resident. I've had permanent residency here since 1993. I think it's 1993. I don't remember the exact date. Fly fish, behave yourself. Are you poking me? I think fly fish here is, you're not helping, sir. We've got this, or me. There's this thing, there's any number of repeated questions come on this stream, and it's a real problem for me. When someone asks a technical question, it's something that clearly I should answer. Yes, the color, blah, 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 blah. But we've got this dangerous situation of you've got this guy now who is a granddad sitting in this rocking chair, chatting with a bunch of mostly younger people. And the classic danger there is the stories. Of course, you tell a story and somebody else comes along and says, tell us the story about how long should a man's legs be, So Mr. Flyfish, give me a break. Don't push those things in that direction. Help me stay away from that mode. Let's listen to him tell that story again. Give me a break. At what point does this stream become a parody of itself, Got we short, right on time, 8:41. What about the vacuum cleaner lady? Did we have the vacuum cleaner? I was too busy telling stories. Oops. You can give it a try. Squeeze by, guy. Now, don't sweat about the delivery guy. The item that he's bringing will be fun to see, and if we don't see it today, we will see it on Saturday morning. It's okay. Don't sweat it. I have another object standing by here, no problem, which is just as interesting. In fact, maybe a bit more interesting. There's more story to it. So don't sweat the delivery guy. That's cut. What's this? I did enjoy the song you posted the other day. You talking to me? A song I posted. Do I post music? I don't post music. I've already forgotten. I'm sorry. I don't remember what we were on. Oh, you're talking about somebody else. Okay. Good. Okay, no problem. It's hard to know how much of this is pointed at me and how much is other conversation. I'm sorry, I'm not, reading it through continuously. So I did enjoy the other day, that stream on Monday out in Ome. At the end of it, I see again the plug came a little bit loose on the camera. I tried to hold it in place, I was trying to hold the plug and move the camera around up and down and stuff. And the plug just became a bit loose, but we did get it stabilized. And it's such a pleasant place to work out there, I think I'll head out again next week or maybe the week after, because there's still not much going on here in Asakusa. So we'll have more streams from Ome, I think, over the next few weeks while it's still so hot. Although my problem with the Ome streams is what work to do. I can't really take my entire carving bench and stuff out there, and I don't have any tools and stuff out there. So I really don't have much content, work content when we do a stream out there. I can show the river, but that's about it. And so I'm not really sure. Your problem with the Almost Dreams is jealousy. I tell you, when I saw that place, I should maybe post a link one day. I've written about this in my newsletter back at the time. This is back in 1999/2000. I had never, ever, any thought that I would be able to get my own home here in Japan. Remember, I arrived here in the bubble time. Land prices are whatever, the highest in the planet. We just rented an apartment, and that was the end of it. That was what I was going to do from then on. And then I got super, super lucky. I don't usually like to use the word luck, but somebody else's bad decisions turned out to be good luck for me. There was an illustrator artist who had been really famous. He did the Star Trek illustrations for the novelizations in the Japanese editions. So he became really quite famous for that here. Lived a high life, got paid well for his work and stuff like this. And his wife got the idea that they were rich now. And she had 1, 2, 3 credit cards. And I know this. And she decided to have a collection of designer dresses. And this would be through the 1980s and 1990s. And she used her credit card to buy dresses. And I know this because I've seen the closet full of them. It was in my house. Long story short, the family, his work declined after Star Trek became not so popular. They kept spending credit cards. They bought a house. The credit card companies put liens. They sold the debt to some undesirable social groups. And the guy ended up being in debt for most of the value of his house. And at some point, one of the groups decided to foreclose and sent the house debts to, I don't know what it's called in English, it's an auction. When people are foreclosing on a mortgage, there's a public auction and the property goes under the hammer, and whoever buys it, that money pays off the debts, and away you go. Anyway, that house, the one that you saw me living in, that house was in that situation. The guy had got himself in real tough debt. And the auction was set for Friday. And a friend of a friend of a friend had told me, Dave, you got to get over there and talk to this guy. He needs money. I'm like, what's that got to do with me? So anyway, long story short, I met him on the Friday afternoon. He was trying to sell the house. And in order to sell the house, like right now, he had cut the price right down. He had bought it 7 years before this as a new house for $360,000, the equivalent. And he was willing to sell it to me for $180,000 if I could arrange financing by Monday or Tuesday, because it was set to go to auction next Friday. Whatever, long story short, I did it. I arranged the financing. I had a good chunk of it already. So I bought the house from him at half of the book value. He paid, he didn't pay off the gangsters. I paid off the gangsters with the mortgage money. Whatever. Long story. This was the house, I bought it in 2000. It was built 7 years. So 1993 is when it was built. And he paid $380,000 in yen, of course, but he paid the equivalent of $380,000 for it, which was the going price. That was the end of the bubble era, and it was the going price. Even houses out there nowadays are still $250,000. New houses out there. So I got it for $180,000 full price. I paid $60,000 cash, and I took a mortgage for $120,000, 10-year mortgage, and the payment of the mortgage each month was just pretty much the same as the rent I'd been paying. So I got it. But his wife, she hates my guts. For his point of view, I saved his life. I paid the gangsters, I paid all his loans, paid him some money, got the house. But from her point of view, I'm the guy who took them to the cleaners and only paid half of the value of their house and then kicked them out. Of course, that's not what happened. He sold me the house, and then told his wife, by the way, we're moving on Wednesday morning. So whatever. Okay. Enough talk. I got to make some noise. You know what's happening. Regular viewers, he's dead. This is gone. He was at that time. He was in his late 60s. He was my age now, I guess. He was in his late 60s, and he, was not taking care of himself very well, and he's gone. He's gone now. Okay. Again, regular viewers know what's going to happen. I'm going to make some noise here now. We have a limiter / compressor on this, so I think I can make some noise without bothering you, but please be careful. If you are headphones and if you've never done this before, just please be careful because it might be a bit loud for a few minutes. What is it now? It's 8:51, so I'll spend what I'll do is I'll just channel out around this guy. My normal job with this now would be to clear away all the waste areas on this block, but that would take me the rest of this stream. So I will just channel around this guy to give you a sense of how this next step goes. So give me 2 or 3 minutes of noise here. I got to be quiet. I'll be quiet and the tool will make noise. Then we will come back for quiet work again. Excuse me. So stand by. 2 or 3 minutes of noise. still with us, still with us. Yeah. Every time I pick up this tool recently, it's got a big flat back, really shiny big flat back. I've told this before, I said a few months ago. Every time I pick it up, I think, oh my God, I've cut myself. What's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? It has happened in the past that in the moving around, doing this, I'll touch the knife or something, cut myself a bit without seeing it, be careful, and there's a drop of blood or something on the block. This has happened to me. It's not happening today. But the reason I pick up this tool, it's got a shiny back and it reflects directly this red. So as I pick up this tool now and look down, I see a red smear on the block. And it still gets me. I look at this, oh my God, I've done it again. I've cut myself. Should I hide it? What's going on? It's the reflection from that red thing. I've got to get rid of that damn thing. Excuse me. Okay, as I said, what should have happened here right now is I should just keep banging, outline this boy, outline that boy, clear it all off. But it's just too much noise for this kind of stream. So I'll pause here for a moment. We'll do him later. And we'll move forward to our stage 3, which is trimming the in-between, which is quieter and more peaceful, and I can enjoy myself and we can do a bit of chatting. So we'll move now down to the stage 3 section here. So those of you who are new, you can see the concept. Stage 1. Stage 1 was cut the lines, separate the good and bad. Stage 2 is clear out as much of the waste as you can with the larger chisels, get it done as quickly as possible. And stage 3, the final stage for each block, is to use smaller chisels to now clean up the rough surface at the bottom and to get right up to the line and take away the last little bits of unneeded wood. This isn't the annual gift print. That's not yet. That's coming next week, actually, the carving on that. This is one of the prints in my own personal print series called The Arts of Japan. It's only 6 years late. It was supposed to have been issued sometime in the summer 2014, and here I am still working on it in the summer of 2020. This is not the annual gift print. The gift print has now been decided. That was one of my jobs in Ome. I vegged out, I relaxed, I did nothing. I played in the river. As I said, I turned off the computer for a while, and I hit my bookshelves. And there's tons and tons of books out there. And I came up with what I think is going to be a very, very, very nice idea for this year's gift print. And I'm not carving it today because I haven't got the tracing and stuff ready yet. But by the time next stream, Saturday, it won't be ready, Monday stream, we may see the carving on this year's gift print. Hopefully. I've got to sell it to the staff first. Today, Dei-chan's coming, Ishikawa-san's coming, and I have to sell them on the idea. And if they seem not too hostile to it, then we'll give it a go. So this year's gift print has been sketched out. I know, thought about. And it's not as much of a dynamite hit as the owl was, but I think it's close. When I saw it yesterday, I'm like, oh yes, this will be like the owl. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. The owl link, I don't have it off the top of my head, I'm sorry. I know maybe somebody there will find it. I know. Got it, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, there's the smoothing down. Now let's get up close. I will target this, I think, so let's get this here again. How's our time? 9:03. We're still good to go. Good, good, good. Excuse me. You're talking about damages? What? I didn't see all the conversation. I'm sorry. Again, I'll catch up. I'll read it at lunchtime. I always do. It was fun the other day. On Monday's stream, I left the camera alone. I went down in the river for a few minutes there. I wasn't quite so sure if I should actually do that on stream, but that was fun. Read the comments and stuff later, you know. So. That river and the stream stuff, it's really quite deceptive, the geography, how far down that is, you know. Even John Becker, who's been there, he was surprised about that, just how far down. This was a major point to me when I was first inspecting that house the first day, trying to decide, should I buy this? You buy a house on a river, and you got a flood risk, absolutely. But I've looked at the geometry and the geography, and I cannot see any way that house can flood. It's just so far down. Yeah, I think there was one confusing thing, John. The thing about the fifth level, I've talked about a fifth level, and the house has 2 floors upstairs, 2 visible floors, and then there's a visible basement 1 and a visible basement 2, which is where that stream was. But below that, there's a foundation level to the building. And they could have, when they built it, they could have actually put a room down there. There's a foundation. You heard me going down the stairs. Dong, 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 dong. There's a full, it's 2 meters high, the absolute bottom level. And what they did, they decided 2 basements is enough. They didn't want the trouble. So they put a concrete wall around the whole thing. So inside that concrete wall is another room about half or so of the size of my workroom. But it's inaccessible because they concreted all around the outside of it. And when I was working on my room there some years back, it was on my list of things to think about, getting a chisel or a jackhammer and taking a little bit out of the front of that wall to see what was inside and to see if it is really a usable space or not. Because there is a space there. There's a fifth level. And then it's another couple of meters down to the water surface. Storage room, yes, but remember, you're going to be pretty damp down there at that fifth level. It's right there on the river. It's on the river bank. It's north facing. It never in the world can ever see sunshine. And I'm really not sure, if it would be usable. It's a very, very long-term idea to even think about looking at it. The only storage it could be for is stuff like ladders or whatever, things that just completely didn't matter about damp or whatever. What's the highest the river has risen? Now, in the years I lived there all the time, I can't speak now for the past 3 or 4 years since I've been in Asakusa, but the years I was there, we had some massive typhoons. And there was one year, I don't remember what it was, it's 8, 9, 10, 11 years ago, there was a typhoon number 8 or something came through the first week of August, and then it was typhoon 9, and it hit the same area like 6 days later. So the ground was saturated, and the whole thing just came ripping right down. And we were okay, we were not even close. The river level came up, again, I don't have any real numbers, a meter or so. Where you saw me paddling, where it's up to my ankles and my shin, would have been easily a meter, and it was roaring like an express train. Instant death to go in there. But we're still easily more than a meter, and nearly a meter and a half below the level of concrete, the channel. The danger with that sort of thing comes is if somewhere slightly downstream from you, a couple of trees fall in the river, this thing blocks, a rock falls here and there, and the stuff starts to back up. That's when you have trouble. If there's a dam or something forms below you, the water starts to back up and you're toast. And I looked at these things when I was buying the house. I got the maps out and looked around, walked around the mountain. Again, I think I'm safe for that, because if the water did start to back up long before it gets to the top of that embankment, it is already spilling on the other side farther up. There's an alternative channel down to the main river. So amateur geologist Dave looked at all those things and said, I think I'm safe. And so far so good. And then on top of that, remember that ground basement, the number 2 basement, we don't keep stuff down there. There's no prints down there, there's no wood blocks down there. It's our workroom. People go down there to work and then go upstairs. So even if it did flood out, we're not actually losing stuff. What if somebody clipped this, did they? Dave taking a bath? I was just thinking, Dave, rip your shirt off, lie down in the water and show them what it's really like. But I was too, whatever, this stuff I'm willing to do on social media and stuff I'm not willing to do on social media, whatever. So, yes, the whole river is encased in stones. That was built in the mid-Taisho period, as far as I know, about 1915 or so. And the whole town, the river, up from way up in the mountains where it starts, right down to the very bottom where it hits the main Tama River. It's encased in stonework. It has weir controls. They know what they're doing. The people who built that thing know what they're doing. And that stonework is wonderful, with a couple of exceptions. From my window, you saw the other day some maple trees. They are growing in that stonework, and they should be ripped out of there because their roots are going to play havoc with it. But nobody cares anymore. There's no maintenance being done on this because it's a depopulating area. but it's so nice, that river. It's so nice, so nice. So again, you can see what we're doing. We're going around the outside of this thing now. This is, that part of it's now ready for printing. There's good wood, and the bad wood is all gone. Slow, peaceful, pleasant work. Somebody's parked outside. What's this all about? That river is not navigable, of course. There's no, it's way too shallow. There's not enough water there. This is, I'm happy about that. Again, before I bought the house, that first weekend when I had seen the house and I was doing my research on whether I should do it, I went to the library, got the geological maps and all this sort of stuff. And one of the things I was concerned about was the typhoon thing. When a massive typhoon comes, how much water is going to come through that little space? And what I did was, the topographical map allows you to draw a line around the watershed. If you're living in New Orleans, the water that comes by your front door, the Mississippi, is from all of that area through the Midwest up to Chicago and whatever. All that water falls as rain. It comes down, river joins this river, and it comes out the door past New Orleans into this ocean. So I did the same thing here. I looked at the map of the mountains behind me and drew the line. That water goes somewhere else. That raindrop comes by my front door. You can draw the line. It's a sort of a miniature continental divide. And in my case, for that river, it is extremely, and I mean extremely, a small area. It's like not even 2 square kilometers. And this is a plus and a minus. It's a plus meaning that there will never be such a massive amount of water coming by that front door, because the raindrops on that side go somewhere else. But the minus is that's the water, that's the zone that feeds this river. So in times when there is not much rainfall, the groundwater seeps through, feeds your river a little bit. So that river almost becomes dry on a really, really long, hot summer. There's nothing left but a little trickle. The water is still there in the pools. It doesn't dry out like Death Valley or something. But the water doesn't flow in large quantities. So it gets hot and stagnant on those years where we don't have much rain at all. But this is Japan. This is a very, very, very wet, damp country. So I looked at it, and so far I've been there 20 years now, and so far no trouble, and who knows? We'll see. How's our time? 9:15. Oops. Are you guys yelling at me already? S&T time. Somebody's in there. Okay, let's do that. we will have to zoom out a little bit because today's show and tell object is a little bit larger than what I've got here. This one is fun. This one is fun. I got this from one of the dealer auctions. Nobody else wanted it. None of the other dealers wanted it because they're like thinking, like, who's going to buy this? When the dealers buy stuff in the auctions here, they're of course thinking how they're going to sell it, who they're going to sell it to, stuff like that. Dave has two thoughts in mind when he buys prints and books from the auctions. One is for selling it in our flea market, so we have to buy it at a cheap price and sell it at a reasonable price. And one is, I want this myself. So what we have today is this. It says, Kitagawa Utamaro, Junjo Zuri. Jun is sequence. Junjo. Suri is printing. It's sequential printing of an Utamaro design. There's nothing original Utamaro about this. This is something going by the appearance of it and the paper and the texture and the style of printing. This is pre-war. It could be early Showa. And my guess, excuse me, sorry about that. Always the catch. My guess is plus or minus 1925, plus or minus 2 or 3 years. The printing of this was clearly done by the Takamizawa Company printers, although nothing in here has anything mentioning the word Takamizawa. But the style of what we're going to show you here, as soon as I saw it, this is Takamizawa printers. And Takamizawa, in the old days, pre-1920s, was a forgery company. They made forgeries. I mean, they didn't put their name on them. They were one of the people who were making forgeries and selling them to the American dudes who came over here wanting original prints. They supplied forgeries to the market. Then when the original guy died, his sons took over in 1925 or so. They started putting their name on the back and selling them in the open market. When you're making a forgery, you can't sell too many copies from the same blocks or they're going to catch you. But if you're making reproductions, you can have a set of blocks and sell them hand over fist, hand over fist. So they switched their business model. So this is carved and printed in the Takamizawa style, but it doesn't have their name on it. And as I said, it's a Junjo Zuri, a sequence of printing. And here's what we're going to see. The first step here is the key block outline. There's no deep black here. This is the light gray, light black key block, which has the outlines and first level of delicate hair. And when we're carving and when we're printing, this comes first. When we carve it, as you saw, the print I'm making this week, we carve the key blocks first, then the colors. Printing time also, key block first. Let's see how this thing builds up. And here's how we're going to see this today. On the left-hand side, you are going to see the build-up. We now see the key block, and we see some color here. On the right-hand side, you see an impression of that color block. Have I got this good? Have I got this lined out well? Now, normally, when we see these Junjo Zuri, when we turn the page, what we'll see is, we will see here the second color block. And then we will see here key +1 +2. These guys, these dudes did it a strange way. And look what we're going to see here. We are going to see the color buildup on both sides. And I'm like, why did they do this? Just show me each color by itself. But we've got here color buildup with key block and color buildup without key block. So whatever, it's still a Junjo Zuri. Now, before we go on, a couple of things to mention. I said this is Takamizawa. How did I know? Because Takamizawa, all through their publishing history, tried to publish prints that looked old. When they were forging, they did that for the forgery reason, but even after they went to be a normal publisher, they still wanted to make prints that look old. And we will see, watch, every one of these color areas that you're going to see is printed twice. Here this pink has a flat color. Remember that. We're going to come back to this. We're putting in base tones. We did base tone for the collar, another base tone for the collar, a base tone for the kimono. There are no gradations. These are base tones, and they will be barely visible in the finished print by the time we get to the end of it. Is it better with the light on, the light off? I don't know. Maybe okay. I'm going to go through the thing first, and then we've got lots of time, I think, so I'll then zoom in. We'll go through again, maybe zoomed on her face and zoomed in on some parts. But I think the process, let's just see this staying zoomed out at the moment instead of coming in and out, in and out, in and out. So, as I said, base tone 1, base tone 2, base tone 3. Now here we go, and this is now the first of the overtones. And we've got the base tone that was in this area, obviously going to be on her kimono. We've now overlaid it. And because this is Takamizawa, they haven't overlaid it smoothly. Do you see what they've done? They've left it fainter at the edges. And that gives it a little bit of a faded effect, or at least what they think is a faded effect. Light off, light off, light off, light off. What? I don't know. The problem here is these shadows. It's the shadow of the camera. Is that a bit better? I've got the shadow of the flask. Things are what they are. Things are what they are. Okay, so there we go. And you can see at the edge, and we're going to see this more as we go page turn, page turn, page turn. What we're looking at is the faint pullback at the edge of these overlaid colors. This is a signature of Takamizawa's work. Let's keep going. What's next? You perhaps can't even see this one. I need to zoom. I said I wasn't going to zoom, but I need to show you what's going on here. There's a pattern that has suddenly appeared on this kimono here. Zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. There's a pattern on the kimono, and we are going to see this twice. This pattern is printed first as a flat pattern in light tone, and they are going to do the same thing. They are going to print over it again in darker. In fact, that's it. That's the very next one. So we've got the same pattern now, and it is now darker in the middle and faint around the outside. And again, this is Takamizawa's signature style. Strong in the center of the zone, faint around the outside of the zone. So the base color went on, the over color went on with a gradation around it, the pattern went on, and the pattern went on with a gradation around it. So you're seeing 4 impressions there just to get that one kimono section. And we have a bunch of pages still to go. But that's the concept that we're going to see here. What's next? What's different? Okay, we have another base tone. The middle area of her kimono here is now getting its first base tone. A dun color doesn't look so interesting. Don't worry, we're not finished there at all. Let's move on. And here we go. Now we can see it. Get the idea here, right? They've put a darker blue on top of that base tone, and you can see it on both sides. They've feathered back, feathered back, feathered back. If this was Photoshop, you select your zone, you feather in 50 pixels, and away you go. These guys did it with brushes. And we get a print that looks antiqued. Antiqued. And really, if they had done this, I would just want on each right-hand page, just show me what you just did right now. Don't stack them up. We've got the stacked up here. I don't know why they did it this way. It's like a water. It makes it look more like it's hand-painted. Yes, there's no fooling here. It's clearly a print, but it makes it look more faded out. Faded out. Let's keep going. What's next? I've lost track of it. Where are we? We're down here. See the zone down here on her obi, her obi, sash. There's now, and it's a god-awful purple blob by itself. But when we see the whole, it's not her sash, it's the boy. I'm sorry, it's the boy's kimono. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this upside down. Give me a break here. It's the boy's kimono. And you need the multiples, otherwise it wouldn't look faded. If you just did it all at once, it just would not show that same effect. What's next? Okay, that same thing again now. We have a pattern on the upper part of her kimono. Let's zoom in on it. It's a pattern, flat, and I think if I can, what's coming up next? Yes, same thing. We'll just flip the page straight over from where we are. They have put a gradation on the pattern again. So the center of the area is strong and vivid, and the outside is all tapered off. It's a style. It's a style. You either like it or you don't. And the guy who started the Takamizawa company went with this, and for decades and decades and decades he went with this. And anytime you see this effect, you're almost certainly looking at a Takamizawa print. Adachi never, and I mean never, ever, ever did this. What's next? Where are we? I've lost track of what's in and what's out. What's missing from this page to this page? Another big open area. The open area, the thing is it something she's holding, or is it kimono? I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused about what we're actually looking at here. It's part of her clothing, I guess, this front section, and it's now getting its base tone. And you know where this is going. And here we go. It now gets its intermediate tone. And from my point of view, I think this is kind of too much. This is kind of too much for my taste. What's next? Next is black. We've already got what seems to be black here. The key lines are actually in a soft. Well, that's her obi, is it? Okay, a front-facing obi because she's a certain age of lady or something, I guess. Okay, whatever. And let's move on. And what's next? Now the black comes in. The black katsura. Katsura is a word for wig. She's not wearing a wig, but in the printing terminology, we call katsura the rich black that goes on top of another hair, as though it was a wig. The boy's hair gets it. And now we have a super mixed pattern on that thing. So underneath here, to show how many have we got? Let's go back a bit. Some of these pages are torn. So nothing here. One base tone, quite deep brown. We'd think if that was finished, maybe okay, maybe not okay. We put a darker, rich brown in the middle, leaving it light around the outside, and then bang, throw a black on top of it. And the resulting effect actually is pretty subtle. Pretty subtle. And I think actually there's more. What's left? Oh yeah, remember the pink one we had back at the beginning? The pink base, I said that was going to be an undertone, and indeed it is an undertone, and he's now splashing some stuff into it. And it's a bit rough. It's not, because it's so thin, you can't go all the way around the outside like we did with the bigger areas. They've just splashed a darker pigment in part of it to give more of an uneven effect. There's no way he could have carefully gone round and round and round and round and round. And we see the same thing here. And then what's next? The background. Soka. At the moment, we're seeing skin tone and background tone as the paper color. We will now move on, and the background color has now been printed in. And we have here, they've flecked it. Can you see? They've flecked it with mica powder. If I find the right angle, there it is, you got it, got it? See on the right-hand side there? Under her chin? They've flecked it with mica powder. And I believe that's the end of the story. There is our finished print. Did anybody keep track? How many? So this is the way a lot of ukiyo-e goes, building up, building up, building up. In the old days, they would never have done it this way. The original Utamaros would never have been done this way. Print it flat, print it flat, print it flat. In Utamaro's era was just when gradations were just starting to be developed. And very few Utamaro prints have them. They're almost all flat colors on the kimono. And stuff before that, 1760s, 1540s, bang, no gradations. And then to make this book, somebody's pointed out, just to make this book, how many impressions? Like, what was this? Did somebody count? Was there 12, 13? Let me do a quick count. Key block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The last one was 17. So to make this book, that's 17 impressions on this sheet of paper. This is 16 impressions on this sheet of paper. This is 15 impressions on this sheet of paper. No, 16. No, 15, whatever. Count them up. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. It just goes on and on and on and on. And my, my problem now with this book is what to do with it. The washi that was used was not such great quality washi. They were all pasted by the four corners into paper that is nowhere near acid-free paper. And the paper has now become, you can see a bunch of the corners. Look at this one. A bunch of the corners have already detached somewhere over the years. And maybe even as I'm turning today, I might have detached another one. You can't even look at the book as it is without destroying it. So I'm thinking I need to get this out of here to preserve this, or it's just going to completely decay to the point where as you turn the pages, these would actually crumble. I can't soak it off. It's already too crumbly. This paper will not behave well if I put this in water. It's on its literal last legs. In terms of lifespan, this album is way older than I am. This album is, 99 years old or whatever. I'm not sure what to do. If I try and cut these corners off, it will tear the paper. If I try to soak them off, the paper will crumble. I should maybe just scan it and photograph it and whatever. How old is it in real life? I don't know actually. As I said, going by the printing style, it's pre-war Takamizawa. I would put 1925, give or take a few years. So 1920 to 1930. Are there better copies out there? I've never seen another one of these albums. That finished Takamizawa print, I've got a half a dozen copies myself upstairs. We sell this print in the shop. There's probably one over there in the stack already. We've got the Adachi one, quite common. We sometimes get the Takamizawa one. Post-war printings, né? So we sell the print itself. But this album, ask a conservator, same thing. They've got no magic tools that I don't have, It needs to be, the washi needs to be separated from the acidic paper. And it's glued on. And to moisten it means just destroying the paper even more. We certainly can't take it off and keep the shape of the album. The only way to get it off would be to cut page. Cut all the pages off first. Then, using scissors and a razor blade very carefully, cut the paper behind the corners. So we then have individual prints with bad paper tacked on at the corners. The prints would then be loose and free. So I can do that easily. Any conservator could do that, but it would mean the album itself gets destroyed. And I think there's really no way at this point to preserve this album other than to preserve it as it is and let it die. Because in another 10, 15, 20, 25 years, these prints will actually crumble. If you're visiting here one day, let me show you. I've got a folio of prints that have been like this, and we cannot look at them. Every time we sort of open the cover, more dust. And if we physically touched it, it just crumbles in. Okay, there we have it. A nice, interesting item. I was very happy to get this when I got it some years back. The fact that it has something here by Utamaro written in English and the word process, somebody has bought this thing and stuck it together with the idea being to show foreigners, I guess, because it says process by Utamaro. Other than that, it's just Japanese. I don't remember how much I paid. I'm sorry. It wouldn't have been much because it's in such bad condition. I would have paid, if I were buying it now, max I'd pay maybe $200. I don't know actually how much I did pay for this. I don't remember. But there it is, part of our collection. I'm not quite sure how best to preserve it. Some of the ones are easy. We take the prints out of the old folios, keep the prints separate, keep the folio separate. The folio can decay in its own time. We preserve the print. But this one, they are really, really, really stuck together. I'm not sure if I can do anything about that. No, we can't do it. You can bathe them in alkali or something. It's just going to make it worse. There's nothing we can do. This thing is, it's old. It's old. Okay. There we go. It's Thursday morning. Next stream will be, as far as I know, Saturday morning. I will still be here in Asakusa because I have days and days and days and days of sizing work to do now. So I'm stuck here for a while. It could be that maybe by next Monday I might be out in Ome again. I really don't know. That'll depend on the workload here. It might be a stream from the stream on Monday, but Saturday, almost certainly not, we'll be here in Asakusa. Okay, guys, thanks very much. It's been a bit of a rambly stream, little tiny bit of work, a little bit of show and tell, not much special. You know what to do. You know what to do, all of us. That's life from here on in. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Hang in there and take care. See you on Saturday morning. Thank you very much.